Hello, hello. Welcome. If you are here, you are excited to learn the 10 things that you need to know in order to buy a home sometime this year. So to get started, we are going to introduce ourselves. My name is Alexis Bunker. I'm a mortgage lender. I've been in the industry for a little over 4 years now. Out of all the transactions that I've been a part of, my absolute favorite clients to work with are first-time home buyers. My ultimate goal is to create a confident home buying experience by providing you with expert advice on your path to homeownership.
I'm Kayla Weiss. I'm with Kentwood Real Estate, and my background is pretty much really similar to Alexis's. I've also been in the industry, licensed for 4 years, but in the industry for a lot longer than that. And I also love working with first-time home buyers, but I'm going to build on that just a little bit. When we both went through our home purchases, our first home purchases, we had zero idea what was going on, what we were doing. We just didn't feel like we really had the guidance that we needed. So that's why we focus on education and confidence building with our clients. And of course, we like to sprinkle in some fun too, but we just want to make sure that our clients are getting to that closing table knowing exactly what they did to get there. So first, we're going to cover what's hot, what's not, and how to navigate this Denver market because it can be a doozy.
Yes.
First, what is hot? The Denver real estate market. Along with Colorado being just a desirable place to live in general, the pandemic really showed people that you can work remotely and live somewhere that you actually like and not like, you know, doom and gloom Midwest. So a lot of people started moving to the Denver area. And what did that do? It kind of brought along with it some hardships with the market, but very easy ways that you can navigate it. Home values increase an average of 5 to 8% in the Denver market annually, which is higher than a lot of other markets in the industry. So people know it's a great place to live and they know purchasing property is going to be a great investment. But what's not so hot about it is high demand makes low inventory, which in turn drives up home prices. So you have to be really prepared to get into this market so that you can take advantage of all it has to offer. And some of those things that you can do are having a realistic expectation, not only with the pricing, because it is a more expensive home market, but also the timing of it. You might have to put a couple offers in on homes before you get under contract and close on a property. So just have that expectation. You also need to be prepared to move quickly. All right. If you do walk into a property that other people are also interested in, you might have to make a decision pretty fast on whether or not to place an offer. So you have to have your stuff together. You need to be pre-approved and you need to be able to move forward quickly if the opportunity presents itself. So make sure you have a clear vision of what your wants and needs are for a property. So now we're going to move into what the typical home buying process looks like. Typically, this is anywhere from 2 to 4 months, but that can vary either faster or slower depending on your own situation. I'm going to be elaborating each of these steps I'm about to announce to you throughout the presentation. So we're just going to go through them quickly, starting off with step number 1, a buyer consultation with a lender to determine your price point. We can't go shopping for homes until we know what your budget is. All right, that is step 1. Step 2 then is having the consultation with a realtor like me to narrow in what type of home we're going to be looking for now that we do have your budget. Step 3 is the discovery day and home tours with your agent to start exploring what homes are available to you within your specific wants and needs and your price point. Step 4, submitting an offer and negotiating with the sellers. This is a very exciting and overwhelming part, all right? But it's something that we are going to be guiding you through very closely. And once your offer is accepted, just know that that's typically about a 30-day process from getting your offer accepted to closing, okay? So you can kind of have that time frame in your mind. Step 6 is scheduling the various inspections, finalizing the financing, lots of documentation, lots of communication happening while we're under contract. Of course, you're going to be making your moving arrangements. You're going to be packing, figuring out all of that stuff, moving your utilities. We're going to do a final walkthrough of the home you're going to purchase either the day of or the day before closing to make sure it is in perfect condition. And then closing day, Final step, we get to celebrate, you get to sign a bunch of papers and you get to pay some money.
Yes.
And it's all great.
Obviously, if you're looking to buy a home, you need to have your home buying dream team. But it can be pretty challenging to try and figure out who to work with. And we've got some advice. Honestly, if you're looking for a really excellent expert home buying team, you need to interview some people. So we wanted to offer some really good questions to ask a mortgage lender and a real estate agent when it's time for you to start your home buying process. Some great questions to ask a mortgage lender like me. First things first, where are you located? This is very important because as a local lender, I have a really great relationship with a large number of real estate agents in our community, and it can help get your offer accepted because if I know the real estate agent that's working with the sellers, we instantly have that camaraderie. They know that you as a buyer are taken care of because they've worked with me in the past and they trust that we will get you to the closing table. I also have a very strong understanding of the Denver market because I live and work in the Denver market. I'm right here in Greenwood Village. So if you're an in-person type of question asker and meter, I can absolutely meet you in person over coffee, come to you, whatever works best. But that's really a big difference between me and an online lender is that we'll definitely have that in-person experience where you and I will meet multiple times before closing day. I also might show up with a little goodie on closing day. Are you available evenings and weekends? This is also a very important question because evenings and weekends are likely when you're going to be out and about shopping for homes because most of us work during the day. So your mortgage lender absolutely needs to be available and working when you are out shopping. Now, the reason why this is important is because if you're working with a credit union or a bank, a lot of times their lenders are limited to bank hours. So Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So it's very important to make sure that your mortgage lender that you're working with is available when you're out shopping for homes. Something else to note here, along with, working local and the importance of that, I'm in your time zone. So that's also critical because if you're working with an online lender, there's no way of knowing where in the country they're located. So you might be working with somebody on the East Coast and the timing when it comes to purchasing a home is everything. So you want to make sure that somebody is working in sync with you and your real estate agent throughout the entire home buying process. And a last good question here, what type of special loan programs do you offer? This is very important because every single buyer is going to have a very unique financing situation. So not only do you want to make sure that you're working with a mortgage lender that offers a wide variety of loan programs, you also need to work with somebody who really has a strong understanding of those loan programs and when exactly they fit with each unique individual home buyer.
So here are some questions that you should be asking your realtor. First of all, what is your realtor's specialty? Everybody has a niche that they like to work in. Me, myself, it's first-time home buyers, people relocating to Denver, and new build communities. It is something I have lived all of those things myself. I come from a home builder background, so I have a really great in-depth knowledge of all of those things, but it's also where I further educate myself and where I create content, resources, and education for those types of clients. All right. So you want to make sure that the agent you're working with is going to want to work with buyers and have helpful resources to make sure that you are fully supported during your process. Why should you work with a specific agent? Again, everybody, you're going to be working with these people for a long time. You're going to get to know them really well. You want to make sure that personalities match and they are going to be available to you. Not only that, but in order to work with a realtor to hire them, you have to sign an agreement. It's called an exclusive right to buy. We have to sign a document that says we want to work with each other. And so you really should be putting thought into who you're working with. So why should you work with me? I have a wealth of knowledge, not only locally, but kind of all over the US. I'm really well connected on a US level, but also in a local level. I am the 2024 Women's Council of Realtors Mile High Network President, which is a lot of words to just say that not only do I provide my clients resources and education, I also provide a lot of industry peers resources and education to help build their leadership and their business within their communities. So well connected. I've been given a couple of awards, which is really great if you're looking for clout like that. But really, it's just making sure that I am focused on giving my clients an attentive and personalized experience in giving them that confidence to get to the closing table. But you should also be asking realtors what they're going to do for their buyers. So on top of me providing all of those resources that I was listing above and giving you that attentive and personalized experience, I like to gift my clients, especially my first-time home buyers, with a home warranty at the closing table. And that's a $625 package that protects you for 1 year. You can always purchase more if you want later, but I buy your first year. And what it's going to do is help protect your home and its systems for that first year of home ownership, really kind of relieving the stress of what could happen. It's going to cover things like if your dryer doesn't work or your air conditioning breaks in the middle of the summer, like mine did last year, and I didn't follow my own advice of having a home warranty, and I could have saved myself probably $10,000 if I would have had that. So that's just one thing that I like to do for my buyers, and just making sure that they're having fun and enjoying the process.
So now that you've decided to work with the two of us, let's figure out what you qualify for in terms of a mortgage. So I have this nifty little acronym that's easy to remember, CIA, and that stands for credit, income, and assets. These are the three main things that a mortgage lender is going to review when they're determining what you qualify for. So C, credit. I am obviously going to be looking at your credit score, but I'm going to be pulling credit reports from all three credit bureaus. And what I'm looking for, in addition to your score, is the monthly payments for any debts or obligations that you have. So this is going to include things like car payments, student loans, credit card debt, child support, alimony, stuff like that. What it's not going to include are everyday expenses that wouldn't show up on your credit report, like gas or groceries or daycare or all the million different streaming services that we all have. The I for income, pretty straightforward as well. I'm going to look at how you're paid. So what type of income you're earning, how much you're paid, and then I'm also going to look back for about 2 years to make sure that you have a consistent history of employment and stable income. Now, assets, again, another very straightforward one. Do you have enough money to pay for your down payment and closing costs? So to put it succinctly, do you have enough money to buy a house? So those are the three things that I'm going to review. I'm going to put them together a bit like a puzzle, and it's going to help me determine exactly what you qualify for.
Yep. And once we do have the qualifying number, that's when you meet with me, the realtor, to narrow down what your ideal home is. And I know we all love to browse homes online, and we see that $12 million Cherry Hills mansion that just went under contract, which means we can't buy it. But we're looking for a dream home right now, especially if this is your first home. Typically, people live in homes for 3 to 7 years, depending on what life stage they're in. So you need to, when you're shopping for your first home, get out of your brain you're shopping for the dream home end all be all. We are going to be looking for the perfect for right now home. All right. Think of what your life is going to be like ideally for the next 3 to 7 years, and what home is going to match that. All right. So we're looking like, what size is actually realistic for you? Do you have a yard? Is it a low maintenance yard? How many rooms do you need? And what is the location? And surprisingly, the location can be one of the hardest parts to decide, because you can get any type of house anywhere, but you can't get any type of location, right? So how can you narrow down what location you want to live in that's going to be realistic for your budget? One thing we like to recommend our buyers to do is go do day dates in different neighborhoods. Once a week, do your grocery shopping, eat some lunch at a local restaurant, go walk around and see what type of amenities the neighborhood has to offer to help you narrow down where you might want to live. And once we've narrowed down all of those things, the type of house and where it is, we are going to do what I like to call is the discovery day. The very first day we go out, we are not expecting to place any offers. We are discovering what your ideal home is. All right. And so we're going to look at least 3 different homes in at least 3 different neighborhoods. And we are going to get a feel for what it, A, is like to actually go look at a property, and B, see, okay, well, I thought I need 2 rooms, but maybe I actually do need 3, or I thought I might like this neighborhood, but I actually think I want the one next to it. So just discovering what your ideal home is. All right, so haggling like a pro. We got some negotiation tricks for you guys, and I think some of them are going to surprise you. Once you find a home to place an offer on, we want you to remember that the price of the home isn't the only thing we can negotiate, and coming in with the highest offer isn't always the most competitive thing that you can do. Before placing an offer, I'm going to call the listing agent and get the inside scoop. I want to know as many things about the seller situation as I can so that we can frame our offer to match the seller's needs. We want to get their attention, and we want to make your offer irresistible. So some of those things are going to be allowing the seller to stay in the home after you've already closed for a short period of time to help them find a replacement home or get ready for their cross-country move. This is very common and a very, very helpful thing to offer sellers because it kind of relieves some of the stress of the process for them. Next is maybe we need to do a quick acceptance deadline, like we want to dangle this in front of them, but quickly pull away so that they don't lose focus on it. So if we send an offer in the morning, maybe we need them to accept the offer by the end of the day rather than waiting till the end of the weekend when other people have an opportunity to send an offer in. A quick closing timeline. So as I said, the typical under contract period is 3 days, but if we have our stuff together and we can make that happen quicker for the seller, that may be super attractive to them because they want to get things moving on their end too. They want to get their money and they want to move on. And then this is a last case scenario situation, but waiving some of your buyer protections only if necessary. And this is something we will talk very in depth about and not something I'm just going to throw around willy-nilly. We'll make sure that you completely understand each and every one of those situations, but it is an option because everything is negotiable when you're buying a home.
Yeah.
Okay. Everything.
Keep that top of mind.
All right. So getting into the contract to purchase a home, the Colorado contract to buy and sell real estate is 24 pages long. And you probably don't even realize how big that is, but other states have contracts that are 2 to 5 pages long. If you go up north to Wyoming, it's basically like spitting in your hand and shaking, and then you've just bought a house. Colorado is a very litigious state, so we have a very long contract. I, as a realtor, am trained in depth in understanding and putting together that 24-page long contract. All right. Before sending an offer along, we're going to review each and every section of the contract so you're fully aware and fully confident of what you're submitting before we submit it. All right. And within that contract, you have multiple opportunities for protection. Obviously, this is a contract we're offering to the seller and something that we want to make sure that they notice and like so they accept our offer. However, you have protections as a buyer as well, okay? There's multiple of those. I'm going to walk you through them right now. First, I need you to understand what earnest money is, all right? Earnest money is an in good faith payment, typically around 1% of the purchase price of the home. So if you're looking at a $500,000 house, it's $5,000. And it's due within the first 48 to 72 hours of getting your offer accepted. All right. If you ever decide to back out of the contract, you have opportunities within the dates and deadlines of the contract to do so legally so that you get that earnest money back. Okay. It's a deposit. So you can get it back if you do so legally. If you back out of the home purchase outside of those specific deadlines, you are at risk of losing your earnest money. All right. It's important for me to fully explain these deadlines to you before we pass an offer along so you're completely understanding because it is a legally binding contract. All right. You have the right of, as a buyer, of course, You have rights as a buyer, of course, but the seller also has rights because they want you to purchase their property. All right, so these are some of those protections. Inspection. You're going to have an inspection within the first week or so of going under contract. These are things that they're going to check, like the condition of the water heater, how old is the roof, you know, health and safety things within the home for you to be fully aware of the condition of the home before you move into it. If there's something you don't like, we can back out of contract as long as we are within our dates and deadlines. Same with the loan terms. Alexis is going to put together a document, the initial loan estimate, detailing the terms of the mortgage. If any of those are outside of what your expectations were, you can back out of the contract for that reason. You're also most likely going to receive a seller's property disclosure from the seller, listing out every little detail that they know of the home. If there's something questionable on there, you can back out of contract because of it. HOA documents. Read them if you're going into an HOA controlled community. It is so important to understand how much control they have over your property. If you don't like it, let's back out of contract because you do not want to be fighting with an HOA as long as you're living in that home. Homeowners insurance as well. We have great resources for you to get quotes, but if there is a quote that you're getting for the property insurance and it's like dramatically expensive and it's kind of blowing your budget, let's back out of contract and find something different. The appraisal. The lender is going to order an appraisal to make sure that the amount of money you're offering to purchase the home is actually what the home is worth. If there's any discrepancies, we will either negotiate or we will back out of contract because of it. And then loan availability. This is your final protection before closing. If you've been cleared to close, that's great. But if not, and we're really getting to the end of that line where you're not sure if you're going to qualify or whatever reason, this is just a few days before we close. This is your final opportunity to back out of contract for loan qualification purposes. But again, these are all of your specific protections as a buyer within the contract. They're important to keep track of. That's why I'm here. That's why she's here. We will keep you on task with all of those.
Yeah, so let's go over some budgeting hacks and really understand the costs that are associated with purchasing a home. So there's two main payments that you need to really understand. The first one is when you are writing the check at the closing table, the cost to purchase the home, which is the combination of your down payment and closing costs. And then the second payment that you really need to understand is the monthly mortgage payment. So let's break that down. So down payment and closing costs. So for first-time home buyers, we see a typical minimum down payment requirement of anywhere from 3 to 5% on average. Obviously, you can put more down, but we typically don't see anything too crazy beyond this, especially with first-time home buyers in the Denver area. Kayla mentioned the earnest money deposit. It's typically 1% of the purchase price of the home. It's important to remember that this counts toward your overall closing costs. So essentially, you're just taking your closing costs and paying a small portion of it upfront as a deposit. Your inspection. So this is actually something that you'll coordinate with Kayla. This is separate from your financing entirely. But this is, as she mentioned before, where a licensed inspector is going to come to the home and dial in any repairs or health and safety issues that are identified in the home. And then, you know, depending on who you hire or how particular you want to be with the type of inspections that you're going to have, the price can range anywhere from $400 to $700. Sometimes upwards of that if you really want to get particular, but this is a good range to keep in mind. And then your closing costs. I would say that for first-time home buyers, this is the #1 cost that they're not aware of. Everybody knows about your down payment. Not too many people are prepared for closing costs. So keep this in mind. There are third-party fees associated with buying a home. Things like lender fees, your homeowner's insurance premium, your property taxes. We have to pay the title company, right? We have to pay the credit bureaus for providing your credit reports. We have to pay the appraiser. So all of the third parties that are associated with your home purchase get paid via the closing costs. So prepare for an additional 1.5% to 2% of the purchase price in addition to your down payment when you're saving up to buy a home. The next payment is your monthly mortgage payment, and your monthly mortgage payment actually consists of 5 different items. So it consists of your principal and interest payment, just like any other loan. It includes your monthly homeowner's insurance premium, your monthly property taxes, and then if you didn't put 20% down, your monthly mortgage insurance as well. Now, there's such a negative connotation with mortgage insurance sometimes, and I want to squash that. Especially for first-time home buyers, it is very, very common to have mortgage insurance on your loan. It's nothing to be scared of. It's all rolled into your monthly mortgage payment. And we actually see it very frequently with subsequent home buyers. So people who have owned homes in the past and are purchasing second, third, fourth homes. It's very, very common and nothing to be afraid of, and definitely not a red flag when it comes to qualifying. I also want to point out that you do not see HOA dues on this monthly mortgage payment. While we do look at monthly HOA dues when we're qualifying you, you do not pay your HOA via your mortgage payment. So if you do live in an HOA, you will pay them directly. It is not paid through your mortgage payment. Deal killers, what not to do if your goal is home ownership. So these are actions that we never want to see once you're pre-approved, but especially not once you're under contract. So the first one, do not ignore your real estate agent or your lender. Communication is key throughout the home buying process. There's lots of information going back and forth. A lot of times it happens very quickly, especially once you find a home that you love. So make sure that you're in constant contact with your home buying team. Especially on the mortgage side of things, we are passing documentation back and forth between you and our underwriting team. So if anybody on your mortgage lending team asks you for documentation, be sure to provide that within 24 hours at the absolute latest so that we can stay on track and make sure we close on time. Do not spend your down payment or closing costs. You're under contract for roughly 30 days. It can seem like it goes by really quickly, but when you're sitting on all the money that you've saved up to buy your home, it can seem like it's going by so slow, and you might accidentally dip into the funds that you need to actually buy the house. So be very diligent that you do not do that, because I would hate for you to no longer qualify to buy a home because you can't afford it, because you got a little too excited shopping one weekend.
Happens to the best of us.
It does. Do not continue to look for other houses once you're under contract. Now, this is a big one, and it's really just to protect your heart. Once you're under contract, you are legally obligated to purchase the home that you're under contract for. Obviously, unless you end up backing out, that's your home, and it's your home until you decide to sell it. So don't look at other homes, because all you're going to do is play the comparison game, think the grass is greener on the other side, and it's just going to cause confusion for you. So don't do it. Don't go online and look for other homes until you're ready to buy another house. Don't take on any additional debt. This is very, very, very important, because this could absolutely ruin your chance of qualifying for a mortgage. So don't buy a car while you're under contract. Don't open up a new credit card. A really common one that we see when you're buying a home, it's exciting and you want to furnish that new home. So what do? You go to American Furniture Warehouse, you realize that you don't have to pay for everything on the spot, that you can finance it. And then you have $5,000 worth of furniture that's going to be delivered the day you move in. But what happened? You took on additional debt, even though you might not be making payments on it yet. Your debt increased, which could absolutely hurt your chances of qualifying. So my recommendation is, as soon as you sign on the dotted line and Kayla hands you the keys to your new house on closing day, then you can zip on over to American Furniture Warehouse or to the Tesla dealership, buy yourself a new car, buy furniture, do whatever you want after closing, but do not do it a moment sooner. And then on the flip side of that, don't quit your job. We want to make sure that you have sufficient income to qualify. So I don't care if you hate your job, hate your boss, think it's the worst place in the world to work. You can quit your job after you've purchased the home. But while you're under contract, while you're pre-approved, make sure that you maintain a steady source of income.
So just to add on that, if any of those things kind of tempt your brain or whatever, if at the very least, consult her before taking any dramatic steps.
Yes.
All right. Because we can guide you through it. All right. Just consult before you make any drastic
Because
decisions.
life happens, right? Cars break down, you know, you do maybe change jobs or get laid off or lose a job. It's not an immediate no to qualifying, but before, if we have any control over it, before you take steps in those directions, we always want to make sure that it's not going to hurt you when it comes to buying a home.
Yep. So let's just go ahead and check the chat to see if there are any questions. I'm not seeing anything specific come through, but just in case people are typing, let's go ahead and go to this last slide. We want to encourage each and every one of you to schedule a consultation with us to get started on your path. Even if you're just curious and you have no intentions of purchasing in the near future, we'd rather get you set up with what your pathway is going to look like. So you have a plan on money to save, credits to fix, things of that nature. That way, when you are ready, you can move forward in, getting ready to purchase your first home. All right. So we're going to be reaching out to everyone in the next couple of days to set up a one-on-one, because all of this information was very surface level, but we want to sit down and dive in deep to your specific situation. So any specific questions that you guys might have dealing with your own personal finances, job situation, whatever, that's the perfect opportunity for you to ask us those questions. So go ahead and scan the QR codes for each of us. It's going to bring you to a link tree listing out our scheduling calendar, our Instagram, and other resources that we have available. But again, we're going to be reaching out to all of you to set up one-on-one meetings, answer any questions you have, and see what your timeline might look like.
And before we go, I just want to give you a little success story of the classes that Kayla and I hold a year ago, almost exactly. We met a couple who had just recently got engaged, and they knew they wanted to buy a home, but they were also planning and saving for a wedding, and they thought that they just couldn't accomplish both within the next year. They came to one of our classes. They in no way thought that they were ready to buy a home, didn't think that they would even qualify. And they left the class learning that not only did they qualify, but that they were fully prepared and ready to purchase a home. And in less than a month from when they took our class, they were handed the keys to their very first home and still had enough saved up for their wedding, which was just last week. So just don't take yourself out of the game before you have a consultation with a mortgage lender or a real estate agent, because you might already qualify and you might not even know it.
Yeah, and we don't want you to feel pressured or obligated in any way. We simply want to educate you and give you confidence. So that's what this is all about.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing each and every one of you, and we will be in touch. Bye.